I, 29, recently got in a fight with my boyfriend, 30, and his family because I refused to spend my savings in a house payment that could result in him getting kicked out of the house. So, context. I've dealt with mental health problems all my life, but when I turned 20 I was at my worst. Due to that, I couldn't maintain a stable job while studying in college. My parents have always been supportive with me. They let me live with them, and my dad paid for my psychologist, medicines, all my college education, and maintained me until I was 24, while also taking care of my mom and my 3 younger siblings. He's a super hardworking man, and I've seen him quite to things he enjoys and loves to give me and my siblings the best he can. Top tier parenting, and I love him to death. Fast forward to this year, I have a stable job that pays really well, and I've been saving money for the past 5 years cause I wanted to do something for my dad as a thank you for all the sacrifices he has done for me. His dream has always been to go to Disneyworld, we are not from the USA, and stay in one of those fancy hotels, but he was never able to do it, and now that he is retired, he thought he would never be able to. So I have been saving money in secret to make it happen. The only one that knew about my savings was my mom, and she loved the idea. I've been with my boyfriend for 1.5 years now. He has a good job, but he is not the best at taking care of his economy. He bought his house before we meet and he is still paying for it. Due to his poor management of money, he starts accumulating debt in the house payments, and a few weeks ago he told me that there is a chance of him losing his house if he doesn't pay the debt. Last week I finally reached my goal and had enough money to take my dad on his dream trip, just the 2 of us. I told my BF, and I was really excited, but he was livid and told me that, how could I be so selfish and go on a stupid vacation trip when he is about to get kicked out of his house. He also told me that, if we were in for the long run, I should help him to get out of his debt, because that could eventually be my house too. We don't live together, I live in a small apartment. He also told me that his trust was betrayed cause I've been hiding the money savings from him, and a good partner does not do that. I told him that it was not my responsibility to pay for his debt, but he keeps yelling at me so I left. He told his mom and sister about it, and now both of them have been harassing me, going to my apartment and to my work telling me how horrible I am for not helping him and trying to convince me to pay his debt. I get that my boyfriend is going through a hard time, but this is something I've been working really hard to achieve, and since my dad is starting to have difficulties to walk, with his eyesight and his health in general is getting worse, I don't want to wait for any longer to take him in this trip. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. 1. You can spend your money however you want. 2. You can share as much information about your finances as you want or don't want. 3, and most importantly, you have put no money into this house, you're not on the title, you have no stake in it. You could, and should, in my opinion, but that's a personal opinion, break up tomorrow, and all that money you put into his house is gone. His debts are his responsibility. If he wants you to pay for his house, he can give you half ownership. Based on his reaction and the way he dragged his family into it to harass you, I'd recommend you ditch him, and fast. He is trying to manipulate you, which is emotionally abusive, and if his sister and mother are so concerned about his debt, they can pay it off. Do not give the boyfriend this money under any circumstance. Your money is yours to use as you see fit. The mismanagement of his financial situation is not your problem, especially since you are not married, engaged, and you do not even live together. The fact that he whined to his mom and sister, and now they're attacking you, that's outrageous. I would encourage you to think long and hard about whether you really want to stay with him long term and marry into that family. What you have done for your father is a lovely gesture and something that will create happy memories for you both. However, I am concerned you are in an abusive relationship. The debt isn't yours and he emotionally abused you in order to manipulate you into giving him money. That is a huge red flag. I advise you to take a step back from the relationship and assess if it is what you want. I have been with Joey for about a year. I feel like his family started to resent me because he was spending more time with me and less at home. This month, I got a great job offer in Colorado. Joey has recently finished his master's degree and is looking for a first full-time job. We decided together to move to Colorado. I'd take the job and he'd look for a job there. For context, home is Connecticut. Both of our families live in Connecticut, but I think he and his family do a lot more in-person things. My family is very busy, and even though we all live in the same area, we mostly keep in touch by phone. It was a big move, but my job offer was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. We decided together that was what we wanted to do. After all, he didn't have a job yet, so this was the perfect time for us to move, when we had that freedom to move without either of us having to make an unwanted career sacrifice. He told his family on his own, and from what he said later, they were upset. They thought it was a bad idea to move cross-country for a girl. They thought it would be hard to live somewhere without family, friends, or a support network, especially if we'd be having kids. I left that whole bag of worms for him to handle, like it's his family. My family was super excited for me, and not totally surprised. They were just like, of course our wild child is moving to the mountains. Anyway, I got brought into his family drama a bit at his youngest sister's birthday party. His mom and dad were in the kitchen when I came in to get a water, and his mom told me pretty bluntly that she didn't like the idea of us uprooting our lives and leaving family. I said that my family was happy for me and excited for me, and that I thought it could be an exciting positive thing. I think that irritated her more. She started lecturing me on how important family is and how it was reckless and selfish what I was doing, pulling her son across the country away from everyone he knows. I asked, "Is that really what you think I'm doing? Pulling him away?" She said she knew it was my idea. And that she knew I knew that by doing it, I'd be stealing him away from family life, from his sisters and parents and grandparents. I said that I found it pretty condescending that she was acting like I was stealing her little boy. He's a grown man who can make his own choices. Nobody can steal a man, they go where they damn well please. And my boyfriend made a choice, his own choice, not mine, to choose our relationship and come along with me to Colorado. She found that really rude, and so did my boyfriend's dad. He got very short with me and told me to leave the house rather than speak to his wife like that. I went home. Am I the idiot for having said what I did to my boyfriend's parents? Not the idiot. Let your boyfriend deal with them. His parents sound controlling of the whole family. Ignore them, don't let them dictate your feelings. Some folks don't know there is a whole world out there to explore. Sounds like your boyfriend couldn't wait to get the hell out of there and his parents know it. You just graduated high school and got a job opportunity of a lifetime. And presumably, the boyfriend is around 22-23, moving to Colorado with an 18-ish-year-old he's been with a year. This sounds like an everyone sucks here. I'd have alarm bells if it was my kid or anyone else I know in this situation, which probably shows my age and mom's status. If the ages were more similar, I'd definitely be not the idiot, because mama's got to cut the apron strings sometime. To be fair, you're an 18-year-old asking someone in their early 20s you've been dating around a year to move away from everyone they know. I know I'm going to get downvoted to shit for this, but you're the idiot, not for how you feel, but how you handled it. His parents have every right to be concerned that their child, even if he's a legal adult, is moving across the country with a newly minted adult with no support or financial security lined up when he gets there. That move is a lot to ask at your age, and parents have every right not to like it. To be honest, your parents not being surprised their wild child is moving to the mountains may say something about his parents being concerned about him making a decision to uproot his life for a wild child teenager. I, 34, have a young brother Tom, 30, who is co-parenting my 4-year-old nephew TJ with his ex Amanda, 30. She and my brother had known each other since middle school and dated off and on in high school. It wasn't until after college that they decided to get serious and moved in together. They were even engaged and would have gotten married if Amanda hadn't have found out she was pregnant. The dream dress that she wanted to wear was not made for a pregnant woman's body and opted to wait until after their son was born for the actual wedding. Everything seemed to be going great until Tom decided to toss a grenade into the relationship by asking for a paternity test before signing the birth certificate. He admitted that he had no proof, nor did he suspect Amanda of cheating, and believed that their son was his, but wanted to be 100%. Obviously, Amanda didn't take too kindly to what was being implied and moved out while Tom was away at work. A few days later, he got the ring back through the mail along with a court summons for child support, which included the DNA he initially wanted. Tom was the father, and while there were people on both sides trying to push for reconciliation, Amanda wasn't interested. She was mostly civil about everything but refused to engage with Tom about anything that didn't directly involve their son. To me, she didn't seem angry, just cold, like she could put on this convincing mask of warmth and joy with Tom whenever TJ was around, but the second he wasn't she would go, "Please don't touch me." Tom has always been hurt over how Amanda responded to his request and feels that she failed TJ by walking away instead of just staying in the relationship. I mostly just bit my tongue, but now that Amanda has started dating again, Tom has gotten worse. One day he was ranting about how it was too soon for Amanda to be dating. I responded by bringing up how Tom has had at least 2 girlfriends since his relationship with Amanda ended. Tom defended himself, saying that what he did was different as he was just dating to have fun and scratch an itch, while Amanda is looking to marry. Eventually, I got fed up with his attitude and told him that the only reason he's in this situation is because of choice to question paternity. Tom said that as a man he had every right to know if TJ was his, and I countered with Amanda having every right to leave him over it, as no honest woman should have to be treated as if they've done something wrong, and that I would have done the exact same thing as her if a man ever dared to try something like that with me. Since then my parents and a few of Tom's friends have said I was in the wrong, as my brother was looking for a sympathetic ear rather than being kicked while he was down. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Tom is an idiot for even suggesting that his fiancée was unfaithful. She was good to leave him. Good for her for finding someone she is happy with. He's an idiot for claiming he gets to date in order to scratch an itch, but she shouldn't be allowed to move on with her life. What sort of backward sexist logic is that? Good for you for telling your brother it was the wrong move to pull, and he only brought his misery on himself. You hit the nail on the head. If Amanda had not been unfaithful in the past, or given him any legitimate reason to believe that she was being unfaithful, then it was a huge idiot move to try and get a paternity test. Paternity test, along with his reasoning of wanting it, implies that he thinks of Amanda as the kind of woman that would sleep around behind his back when she had given him no reason to believe that. Good for you for laying it on the line, OP, and I hope Amanda marries a wonderful man while Tom eats crow. People who are guilty of things will accuse others. Your brother asked for a DNA test implying that Amanda had been unfaithful at some point. Your brother most likely cheated on her. I hope Amanda finds a good man and stepfather for TJ. He needs someone to show him how a real man treats a woman. I, 33, have been with my boyfriend, 55, for 3 years, C, and he has always been mortified by our age gap. C is worried that he will be seen as a sad old man or that people will think I'm a gold digger. I, on the other hand, am unbothered. We both work in finance, and although C makes more than me, I make a 6-figure salary and am self-supporting. He is currently staying with me for a couple of weeks as he lives a couple of states away. He has his own place, but we usually stay together 1 week a month minimum. Until the last 6 months or so, C refused to introduce me to anyone he knew, including his teenage and adult children, but I tolerated it because I assumed he was just cautious and would come around in the long run. Recently, a friend of his, G50s, who I have worked with for the past 4 years and therefore know fairly well, had a couple of friends drop out of a holiday he had booked last year, a villa in Antigua, and asked if C wanted to go. As part of this invite, G told C he could bring a friend. It's important to note at this point that G is one of the few people that C has actually confided in about our long-term relationship. We have met for supper before as a couple. So, I am 99% sure G was referring to me. C asked me if I wanted to go, and I was thrilled. I felt like it was a major turning point in our relationship and that he was finally publicly acknowledging me. The next day, C calls me and tells me that he'd spoken to G, and it transpired that G wasn't bringing friends, as C had thought, but instead his 5 adult children, 20s, plus their boyfriends and girlfriends. C decided that this wouldn't be my scene and informed me that he'd asked his son E, 18, to go instead of me. I was incandescent and told him to get the hell out. He has been texting me since telling me I am blowing it out of proportion and I wouldn't enjoy it anyway as it is mostly kids who are 5 years younger than me. So, am I the idiot for kicking him out for being disinvited from the holiday? Not the idiot. Blowing out of proportion. You know what's out of proportion. A 55-year-old guy who is so insecure and scared of the judgment of others, so he tries to hide his girlfriend for 3 years. You're sure he is not cheating or something? I think he lacks a lot of commitment. He lives out of town, you see each other 1 week each month, you've been dating for 3 years, and he refuses to acknowledge you to his family and friends. Sounds like the dude already has a family and you aren't it. Jesus, why would you put up with this? Seriously. He's so ashamed of you, he keeps you secret. And you happily go along with it. For 3 years. Damn, where is your self-esteem? Your pride? He's never going to just come around. He's too embarrassed. I think he's more embarrassed that they'll think he's a dirty old man than he is of you. You're young and successful. I'm sure you can find someone who isn't ashamed of you. You can absolutely do better. You're the idiot for wasting your time with someone that is embarrassed to be dating you. 3 years you've been his dirty little secret. Get some self-respect. Backstory. My boyfriend, Alex, and I have been together for 4 years. I've become friends with his 2 best friends, James and Noah, but we're not particularly close, nor do we ever hang out without him. I work for an airline, and one of the major perks is that I get discounts on flights that I can also use for family and friends. As I am in my first year with the company, I only get a certain number of discount seats, and I had 3 left for the year. Situation, Alex asked me if I could use my discount to buy tickets for him and his 2 best friends. I happily agreed, since he deserved a nice holiday. He booked his time off work, and they made their plans. They were to send me the money, and then I would put it all on my card just for simplicity. 3 nights ago Alex came home really upset. He told me his friends had decided to change the holiday dates, bringing them forward a week because it clashed with a concert they wanted to go to. He was upset because he couldn't move his holiday dates with work, and when he told his friends they had decided to go without him because they had been looking forward to the gig for ages. I was pretty angry on his behalf, especially since he had done most of the planning, including finding the hotel. To make up for it, I started planning a trip for me and him on his holiday dates. James messaged me last night and said he would put the money in my account this morning. No ask if he could still use my discount, no explanation for what they had done, nothing. I was outraged that he would even suggest using my discount after he treated unfairly my boyfriend. I sent him a polite but blunt message explaining that he and Noah were no longer able to use my discount on this holiday as I would be using the seats for me and Alex, and that they were still welcome to use them on a holiday that involved my boyfriend in the future. He replied with a barrage of texts saying that I was being selfish and unfair as I had promised 2 seats to him and Noah, and that they were using the money they were saving to go to the concert. He even phoned Alex to complain. Alex is torn. He thinks it's a little unfair to let his friends down and doesn't want this affecting the relationship between me and his friends, so I should just give them the seats to keep the peace. I refused and was hurt that he was still sticking up for them. Am I the idiot for going back on my word and choosing to use the seats for myself? Not the idiot. They've treated your boyfriend terribly. Why give them anything? Besides, if you want to go on holiday with him, you 2 now need those discount seats. Which is a situation entirely of their own making. It's another level of rude to change a plan so a member of the group is excluded, then expect that friend's girlfriend to subsidize the trip. The whole point was that your boyfriend would basically benefit. Once your boyfriend is out of the equation, that's out. And the fact that they didn't explain or apologize and just went ahead is kinda rubbish. You're completely fine to say withdraw your offer, as they hadn't even paid at that point, but I'm not sure why you offered it to them in the future. Not the idiot, they agreed to go with the 3 of them and expect you to give them the seats after them ditching your boyfriend on this trip. No, you promised the 3 of them, not those 2 alone. If you see it as a contract, it would state that the exchange would be for 3 seats. This deal was broken, so the deal or contract has ended and you have no responsibilities to them anymore.